Peyton's a guy who's already, pretty close to the total season numbers he put up last year. I know you talked about the importance of tight ends in your offensive system. As you've seen him kind of through these first couple weeks, what are you pleased with? And in particular, where do you challenge him to kind of go from here, I guess?
Yeah, no, he's been very consistent. That's what I really like about his play, and it's been consistency at a high level. The first week, as I said last week, he made some really good catches, knew he's going to take some hits, and this week he just went about his business, didn't do anything. We didn't ask him to do anything he wasn't capable of doing, and he was in the right place and caught the ball first, and that's a big part of it, right? You can't go anywhere without it. And after that, he made some guys miss and ran through some tackles and had some conversions, to convert some third downs, and I think he really helped us out a lot. And come to think of it, more in the second and long situations, I think he did a really nice job of putting us in third and manageables.
Coach, I know you guys all stress sort of 1-0 mentality type stuff, but the schedule's been out for a long time, and obviously there's 2 non-conference games before his first conference opener. So can you share with me a little bit about how long and what you've been doing to prepare for Ohio State prior to Saturday night?
I think it's just to continue to work on those fundamentals that are going to be important when things are just a little faster. I think the number one thing is ball security. We've not put the ball on the ground in 2 games, but it's probably been the number one thing we've stressed coming back today and watching film with the guys. The first thing I show today was 4 times where I thought we had very poor ball security, and especially in traffic. And when things are happening a little faster and it's a little more physical, we run the risk of the ball being loose. And so those fundamental things are the things that we've really been stressing leading up to, playing Ohio State. I think schematically, we've just continued to try to, understand and put our guys in situations that they know best and feel comfortable. And then the defenses doing their things, us being able to adjust and make the protection checks, but doing it to where, the quarterbacks can see the picture, the O-line can see the picture. I think we've done a really good job. We have had no sacks. We've had some pressure, but we've had no sacks. And the quarterback identifying and recognizing and then communicating to the O-line and the running backs, they've done a really nice job. And so there's still some things we are going to clean up that we talked about this morning. But those are some of the things that are key. And really we're talking about the plays that where you lose yardage and put yourself behind the chains and make life difficult to keep drives alive. The one thing I was disappointed in this weekend was penalties. We had 0 penalties in week 1, and we went the wrong way. A couple of them were unfortunate, and even just simply our guys knew that they needed to be on the line of scrimmage, are trying to tell the official, but just that communication between our player and the official wasn't done the way we hope it would. And, we got a penalty, even though our guys clearly know that they got to be on the line of scrimmage. And we had 2 false starts, which, was probably the biggest thing glaring-wise that I was disappointed in.
Offensively, Coach, you guys have really been able to share the ball this year. You talked about the importance of the tight end in this. You got a 64-yard touchdown from just a flare pass to a running back.
Yeah.
With all that in mind, when you go into a game like this, is it more of making them adjust to you, or is there much of adjustments on your schematically from your point?
Yeah, I think within our system, we make the adjustments. And so, systematically we have what we have, and then we make the adjustments to go attack what we're seeing and the opportunities that exist based on how they have shown, their defensive alignment and what they're going to do. So I know that they'll adjust to us, and I'm sure there's a lot of things that they haven't shown on film because their games have been blowouts. And so, there's a little bit of that. But again, I think when we install our offense and when we talk in our rooms, we talk about, the systematic things and how this needs to happen. And, there's going to be pressures that we, maybe a blitz of the week that an opponent has. And that happened this week where we had 1 game film to look at. And there were some pressures that we hadn't seen, but systematically we were able to make the check, get the right guys to the right spot, and execute.
In terms of the offensive line, I mean, how much did you see an increase in continuity from the week 1 to week 2, and how important is that against a team with athletes up front like Ohio State?
Yeah, I think we were a little more confident in knowing what we were going to see, and so that started with the communication, and we were identifying things better. I think, the first half of the run game was better than what we had in the first week against Ball State. And I think in the second and third quarter against Ball State, we made some adjustments and were pretty sharp. And then we started rotating a lot of guys in, so the stats kind of get muddled up as far as your yards per carry. But I think we improved. And are we where we want to be? No. I think we need to run the football better. The O-line, I know, takes a lot of pride in that and wants to do a better job, but there were a lot of positives too. A lot of positives, and I know they're up for the challenge. We got 3 seniors up there that want it to be great. They want the offensive line to be the pride of the football team, not just the offense, the pride of the football team. And their work ethic and the talent we have there, I know they can do that.
To kind of go off the running game, you had 3 different running backs find the end zone in terms of rushing. Ronnie Walker had that big receiving touchdown. I mean, do you think you kind of better assessed when to use guys in certain formations, play calls to kind of divide up all their touches? Yeah. There's some guys really identifying and becoming consistent in what they do. I think Stevie got off to a much better start. We got him going a little bit. We got him the first carry of the game and hammered it up in there like Stevie does, and got him on the edge a little bit more rather than just up inside. And he's not what you probably call a blazer, but he still is pretty good out in space, relative to most running backs. So I thought we did a better job with that. And then every guy kind of got their chance. Like you said, Ronnie got the swing right before in the 2-minute drill, and did a great job getting a little shake, a little hesitation by the defender, and getting down the sideline and showing that he's got that speed. So. Thought all of them showed much improvement from week 1 to week 2, and we were consistent. So just cleaned up a few of the things, whether it's being completely confident in the blitz pickup or whatever it might be. I think we made a lot of progress right where we want to be.
Yeah, just following up on that point, Samson James, how do you see him developing as a freshman, and how do you see his role kind of evolving in this offense?
Yeah, this game was really critical, and there was certainly a point, Coach Hart and I talked about, and he could have got Samson in a few more reps in the first game against Ball State, just a couple more carries. And, that happened this week. We made a point to make sure we got him out there, and every rep he was out there, you can see that there's him becoming more comfortable, and so he's going to be a force. His time is coming. He's just got to continue to work and continue to feel comfortable in those positions. But did a nice job. I think he's improved as a pass catcher every single week throughout fall camp and the first 2 weeks of the season as well. Really, you just see that in practice. He hasn't had a chance to show that much in a game.
Chase Young just picking up where he left off, 3 sacks already.
Yeah.
Is this a guy that will demand a double team a little bit on Saturday?
What
makes him so tough?
Yeah, I mean, he's certainly a special player, and you have to have a plan in place. You see too many times in college football where there just isn't an answer, and you just leave those tackles on an island all day, and the DNs can pin their ears back and get after you. So there's got to be a plan, to just disrupt a little bit of the pass rush. You still want to get your guys out because they're in coverage as well. A 4-man pass rush still means that there's 7 dropping back. So, that's the challenge, right, is to balance that out, to limit the pass rush, give your quarterback a chance to have some time to look and identify, give the routes time to develop, but also, get your guys out in routes. So we certainly got to be conscious of that. He's on the edge, so there's only limited ways to double team him, and chip him and things like that.
I guess to that point, you were talking about the run game. You're one of only 3 teams in the country that's played 2 games this season and hasn't allowed a sack. You've done that without a sort of a run game that's really softened the defense up. What's been working in pass protection, and how do you need that to kind of continue developing as you do start facing conference opposition?
Right. No, I think the quarterbacks, starting with Mike, done a nice job of seeing,
recognizing what we talk about in meetings and what we see on film, identifying it, and then I think there's really only been one time where I think he's kind of got caught off guard with anything, and so and that was in the first game against something that we hadn't seen, and hadn't even talked about much. So I put that on me as much as anyone. But understanding, when he's got to get rid of it quick, and I think within our system we have ways, even in the drop back game, to get the ball out of his hands. And the O-line's been consistent. They haven't just blown assignments, and we've communicated well, so at least everyone's on the same page. And we're going to get beat at times. We're going to get beat, but it's not like it's been multiple guys on a play. So there's a little penetration. The quarterback's done a nice job of sliding in the pocket. I think we threw one away. Mike threw one away, had to scramble, threw it away, didn't take a sack. Thought that was really smart on his and showed a lot of maturity. So everyone's done their job. The receivers have been ready when the pressures come to break their routes off and get their eyes around and look for the football.
Coach, how much does it help a young quarterback like Mike to have such an experienced receiving crew, bunch of guys who've been through a whole bunch of games like this already?
Yeah, no, it's huge, because what we sit and talk about in our room a lot is the nonverbal communication that receivers give a quarterback. We talk a lot about how one guy might run an out route different than another, but you can see it, and another guy might get a defender to flip his hips differently. And, because those guys are mature receivers, Walt Fillior, when he runs his route, he's got maybe 3 different moves he goes to, more times than not. And we see those moves, and he consistently, goes to those. It can't be the same 1 or 2, because the defenders will figure that out as well. But we can tell by the nonverbal communication, because they are consistent, kind of when they're coming out of their break and where they're coming out of the break and the angle and all of that. And, the first touchdown we threw, Miles Marshall, that route concept is one that we've run since the spring. They've run it this summer, and then we ran it this fall. And it's a concept, though, that we haven't done necessarily out of that particular formation this last week of practice, but it was too good of a look to pass up. And so he went to it, and those guys executed, and it was exciting for me to see that we can do those things, and it just doesn't have to be okay. It's this one call or this one call, and that between the quarterback and the receiver, there was a maturity and identification, and hey, we're on the same page, because Miles is young too, and so that was pretty cool to see. You bet. Thank you. You guys have a good week.